Solving multi-step inequalities. Well, these are much like solving for an equation with the equal sign, except it has the inequality, the greater than, less than symbols. So we have 5 basic steps that we worked with when we worked with the equations. It's the same exact steps. So we're going to first try to clear out grouping symbols or fractions. We can do that by using the distributive property or multiplying everything by the LCD. Step 2, then you can combine like terms on each side of the equation. Step 3, get all the variables to one side. So once you've combined them to each side, then you're going to bring them also, they're all on one side. Solve for the variable is step 4. So solving for the variable, that's where you're getting rid of your addition and subtraction, and then your multiplication division. So when you have 2-step equations, this is actually where you're starting. And step 5, you can always check your answers. So to solve each inequality, and then again you can check your solution. So you have 9 plus 3x is greater than 21. What you're going to do to solve this one is get rid of your addition and subtraction first. Subtract 9 from both sides. You have 3x is greater than 12. Since it says 3 times x, opposite of times is to divide. And we now have x is greater than 4. There's your answer, x is greater than 4. Now, like I said, you can check your answer. So you pick a number that's greater than 4, like 5 or 6 or a million, it doesn't matter. I'm going to pick 5, so I'm going to put a 5 right there. 3 times 5 is 15. 9 plus 15, that gives you 24. Is 24 greater than 21? Yes. And since it is greater than 21, that tells you that you have the correct answer. Negative 4a minus 7 is less than or equal to 17. Add 7 to both sides. Since it says subtract, you do opposite of subtract, which is add. Next, divide both sides by negative 4. And as you divide both sides by negative 4, don't forget to flip that sign. Since you're multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative number, you flip that sign around, it becomes a greater than or equal to, and this gives you a negative 6. 50 is greater than 0.5x plus 30. Get rid of your addition and subtraction first. Subtract 30 from both sides. You get 20 is greater than 0.5x. To get rid of that 0.5, you're going to divide both sides by 0.5. X is over here, your sign stays, and 20 divided by 0.5 is 40. Now, because our letter's on the right, we want to switch it over. Remember, when you switch sides, you switch the sign. So x is less than 40. Number 4 here, we're going to subtract 8 from both sides because the 8 is a positive value. So that cancels out there. You're left with negative 3x is less than 1. Divide both sides by negative 3. Cancels that out, and x is less than, oops, wait, we got to switch that around. We divided by a negative, so we got to switch that to a greater than sign. And that negative 1/3, I like to put the negative in front, but you can keep that negative in the denominator also. It doesn't matter where that negative sign is. The next 2 sections, we're going to work with distributive property and variables on both sides. So we're going up the ladder there with those steps that I provided with you. Since you have parentheses, you can't do addition and subtraction first. You have to distribute. Get rid of those parentheses. Multiply here, you get negative 3. Now here you don't flip the sign. I know we multiplied by a negative number, but we didn't multiply both sides by the negative number. If you're just distributing, this sign does not change. Get rid of your addition and subtraction next. So negative 3x is greater than negative 9. Divide both sides by negative 3. And x is, switch that sign around, less than a positive 3. Same concept over here. We have distributive property because of those parentheses. So we have 38 is less than negative 8m plus 14. Since you have a negative times a negative, it gives you a positive value. Then we're going to get rid of that 14 by subtracting it to the other side. So 24 is less than negative 8m. Divide both sides by negative 8. And you get negative 3 is less than m. But again, we want our letter on the left, so we're going to switch sides, and we're going to switch that sign. M is greater than negative 3. When you have variables on both sides, you can choose which one of those you want to move. I usually like to move the smaller numbers, so I deal with those positive values. So I'm going to move this 3n, subtract the 3n to the other side, move them to the same side. 6n minus 3n is 3n. So 3n minus 1 is greater than 8. Add 1 to both sides. 3n is greater than 9. And divide both sides by 3, and you get n is greater than 3. Again, letters on both sides. You can choose which of those you'd like to move. I like to move the smaller one again. That smaller one is at negative 2. So we can add 2x to both sides. 3x and 2x gives you 5x. Plus 12 is greater than 27. Subtract 12 from both sides. You get 5x is greater than 15. Divide both sides by 5, and you get x is greater than 3. Solving with special solutions. Well, we see we have parentheses here, so that tells me my first step is to distribute. We have 10 minus 8x is greater than 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8x. Now you still want to go through the whole process here. You want to get rid of your x's. So I'm going to add x. I'm going to try to move them to the same side. But what you'll notice here, as I'm trying to move them to the same side, they actually cancel out. That's why it's a special solution. When they cancel out, what you have to look at is whether this statement is true or false. Just like we did when it was an equal sign. But you might have to think about this a little bit more. Is 10 greater than 10? No, it's not. It's actually equal to. So because it's not greater than, it's false. Whenever you have a false statement, it's called no solution. What that means is there's nothing that's going to make this a true statement. Now, if this was equal to, well then yes, it would be true. But with it not being equal to, it's a false statement. Let's try this one. Like terms on the same side of the equal sign. When they're on the same side and they're like terms, do not change these sides. Please, I do not want to see this. You cannot add it when it's on the same side of the equal sign. Now, if you did this, oops, one more. If you did this, that would be okay. But without that, you can't do it. So what you have to do is you could combine your like terms. You can make this 6m minus 5 is less than 6m plus 7. Next, what you can do is move your letters to the same side of the equal sign. So we're going to subtract 6m to both sides. Cancels out. You're left with negative 5 is less than 7. Is that true? Is negative 5 less than 7? Well, yes. That is a true statement. And when you have a true statement, it's called identity. You may also see it known as infinite solutions. So you might start seeing identity in the book. They might start showing you the words infinite solutions.